Hello, welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. Thank you for subscribing, for hitting the like button. Thank you for sending me messages at lostlikemike@gmail.com. This is my third attempt to try to start recording this episode, which I probably just should have left it going after the second attempt because it was borderline comical, the level of issues that were popping up, to say the least. It was the first time around, my dog is laying down next to me, and almost on cue, I hit the record button, and the dog stands up, starts crying and howling, and putting its paw and wanting to get pet, and I'm trying to get past that, and then bull in a china shop, she decides to run over the cameras and make her way to try to look out the window. And then when she can't get to the window, she whines and howls and cries and makes a fit. So I stop it and I say, well, I'm gonna restart, because that, the camera's flying all over the place. It's just too much. So then I restart and I, do the whole welcome bit, and I keep forgetting. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez, in case I didn't mention it. I'll mark it on that, whatever. So I started up a second time, and I comment on the first situation with the dog. And then I hear my daughter whispering outside the door. So I say, well, naturally, right? The universe lines everybody up in a row and says, okay, first you try to mess with them a little bit, and then next you go in, right? But I thought it was kind of cute, and so then she comes in and she gets to say hi, which is always a welcome thing, and that goes as it goes. But after she does that, then the dog starts eating a piece of plastic and doing that gaggy, choky thing where it's a dog eating a chunk of plastic. So I'm having to stop and come down and, fish this piece out of the dog's mouth. And then my daughter wants to come back in, but not to talk or to be a part of the show. She just wants to, sing this part of a song, which, by the way, there's this thing going around YouTube right now, and it's this parody of the Smash Mouth song, All Star. But it's, my daughter sang it to me with no reference to Smash Mouth or this other song. And I say, where that song come from? And she's like, no, that it's its own song. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And so she tries to sing it, and I'm like, look, this is how it goes. And I start singing the song, and then it's like, that's not the song. It's a goofy parody, but she thinks it's the greatest thing ever. She's memorized it from front to back, and she's sung it so many times that I've even retained it in some form of long-term memory. But I told her that before the end of this recording, I wanted to come back and say hi again, because it seems like I never get to keep or use the footage of when she comes and says hi, because she goes all kind of, she does what she does in front of a camera. But I didn't get to keep any of it because the dog started choking, and I had to stop what I was doing. We just completed a 5K yesterday for the American Heart and Stroke, for the American Heart Association Heart and Stroke Walk is what it was called. We walked in representation with my company that I work for. And I don't hold it against them. I don't really know anybody from the company. Um, I brought my wife and daughter. You know, we're all wearing the shirts and stuff, and one of the employees like fainted awareness of me and gave me a high, um, which I'll take it. Everything else I'll leave it where it was. Um, but it was they raised like $500,000, so I got to be a part of that. And I walked in honor of my mom and Julie's grandma, and there was a young kid who's he's had 2 heart surgeries, that goes to their school, and so that's who Harlow walked for. And for a little cousin that has had a stroke, we walked in honor of all of them. So we got to write their names on a board, and maybe I'll put a picture of us walking or whatever. It was nice. I felt like they measured it wrong. I felt like it was really quick. It was really short to me. Either that or like uh, the way that they had it set up, just it was on and done before I was even aware of any kind of. I don't even feel it today, but sometimes I feel like all of the hoopla is about just, you know, where it was just like it's to get people to put money down on something, but you know, almost like if people just would give the money, it'd save a lot of time and energy, because a lot of it's just like I don't like it when company like when charities um get shady. All right, I'm gonna explain what I'm saying. So they have this thing where they're like, if you donate $30 or more, then you get a special prize on the day of the event, right? If it would have said like donate $30 to participate, just straight up, would have been fine, right? Get a special prize, it just kind of elicits something different, right? You don't. It was an unnecessary gesture. So then you show up on the day of the event, and they're saying, well, $25 if you donate right now, you get a free T-shirt. Okay, so we're trying to set the bar here. We're saying what you're valuing for this donation, right? $25 gets you a T-shirt of the event for that day, right? And then I come around and I say, well, I did donate. You know, I raised over $30. They just told us to mention it, and we would get like a little, you know, surprise or something. I just figured I'd mention it. And the lady was like, oh, look, we'll find your name in here. My name wasn't even in there. But she's like, it's cool. I trust you. I'm like, good on you for trusting me. I mean, but whatever. And then she gives me like this tote bag with like a cheap plastic keychain inside of it. And look, I'm not saying I would have wanted this T-shirt, but what is your natural train of thought, right? What's the first thing you say? Well, I should have just waited for the day of and donated then. At least I would have gotten a T-shirt for 25, you know, right? And then when you think in terms of like a charity, you want that money that you're donating to go in large part to research and to help, you know, like in certain cases directly to the participants, as far as like helping raise money for heart surgeries or of families that can't afford the treatments. That's what I imagine, you know. Um, in a lot of cases, maybe it does. So almost, I would rather that than even spending money on. on keychains and t-shirts and tote bags and whatever. I think I guess the argument could be made that would I have donated if I didn't think there was a special surprise at the end? No, I mean, as I said, I would have preferred it just to be like, hey, you want to walk in honor of somebody, then throw down $30 and, and come walk or whatever. Even the fact that you have to have a walk to get people to give money towards research just seems like, unless it affects them directly, I guess maybe that's the thing, right? Like if your family, when I did fundraising for and did a walk for the American Cancer Society, it's, at the time it touched a lot of folks, in my direct circle, and I had it fresh on the mind and wanted to do something for them and honor them. I don't know. It was voting this week, and I didn't get to go to cast a ballot. I was really disappointed, but sometimes you have to listen to the universe and what it's telling you, and all the propositions that were on the ballot, I was pretty confident were going to pass, and the one that I didn't really feel comfortable about, it is what it is. But on the drive home, and I had been contemplating it all day, the day of the election, I was gonna go vote. That was the plan. But on my way home, I got to thinking about how little time I'd spent with my daughter in the previous day, and that I didn't spend any time with her at all the day before that. So I said, well, I'm going to drive by the place. That's the second time that I was just talking to the camera, just doing the show, and my watch stops the recording and asks me or offers information about whatever I'm doing. Very frustrating, Apple. Yeah. When I try to... Anyway, I don't know. I'm going to have to check where it stopped recording. But the long and the short of it was I drove home to switch to get my bike because I was going to ride my bike back to the voting place. And decided to play with my daughter and hang out with her instead of going to vote. And I woke up the next morning and checked the results of the elections, and for the most part, all the propositions that I was, in favor of passed, and the thing is, like, I could find what the ballots had on them, the propositions, but I couldn't find anybody who had an opinion that, like, for or against, that had any sort of significance to it. It was just, well, on the ballot today is blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, cool, but what do you think about that? Should I vote for that or should I not vote for that? There was one where they were trying to raise money. It was like this $1 billion school proposition to, like, put up a football stadium. And I didn't agree with that. Another proposition was for, you know, a music and an arts building that they could have performances at. And I thought that was fine. Here's the thing. Schools make so much money from football. Okay. That they should use that money to reinvest in projects such as that. It's such a profit cow, you know. But, you know, a fancier pants one is not necessarily the in other words, you're raising all this money, and then you throw all the money back into getting a fancier football stadium. It's like, no, dude. I thought the intention was to, you know, have updated computers and books, and, you know, it's supposed to be an institution of learning primarily, and then you have your extracurriculars. I think music and art, or they suffer when the budget cuts. They're the first to go, statistically speaking. So I think if we were going to reinvest, or we needed to invest more, then that's where I would want. And look, I don't have a dog in the fight, all right? I do pay my taxes and whatever. My daughter does not go to public school. Somebody told me there was a problem. They were trying to make it to where you could, instead of giving your money towards the school, they were passing something where you could, you know, use that money and pay it towards your, you know, the private school, which I think would be cool, you know. Because, you know, I'm sitting here paying for the public schools in my area, and I'm not even utilizing them. You know, I don't think that's necessarily the best course of action. Anyway, went on that tangent. So maybe we jumped from that to that. I was on the phone with my mom the other day, and we were talking about doing the 5K, and I was telling her about how we were just talking about how back in the day it was always walking and running and stuff was not such a big deal, because Julie was complaining that, not complaining, I shouldn't say that, but she was saying that she didn't know if she was going to make it on this 5K. She's got some issues with her feet and stuff, and not to get into all of her business, but she was concerned as to whether or not she could walk. And I told her, which is the truth, just pretend like it's you doing a normal stop at Walmart or H-E-B, you know, or like the grocery stores, or getting dropped off on one end of the mall, like, and because, you know, she doesn't have she doesn't see it the same way mentally. Like, she doesn't realize how much she does walking when she's doing something that she likes, you know, as far as shopping. I mean, to put it in perspective, we were there at the place for the 5K, and she walked around at all the booths for an hour before we even started doing the walk. Not even registering that she was doing it. You know, if she didn't start the thing on her watch to time it, to make record of how long she walked until the race started. She probably walked a good mile before we even got started. I was performing a show and doing my Saturday show, and this couple came up to me. The girl first, this woman, and she started. She said, "Hey, I can feel the energy coming off of you and going to your cousin, and when you play music and I think in a roundabout way she was complimenting um, the chemistry that I have with my cousin, like performing music." And then she went on to say that she has like that she is known to read and interpret energy, right? I guess she was saying that she had like a mystical sense about her. So she started saying that some different insights, and saying that I need to be there for my cousin and help my cousin out. My cousin needs my help. Which, I know that it's probably true. I told her I would look out. And then she left, and then she came back, and then she said, "Hey, like you," she's like, she told me I want to get back to nature, and then I want to go in the trees and the hills and by the water and and I thought, such an interesting thing to say. Like, mm, you know, I don't know. I'd like to think that she maybe had some way about her that she had some sort of insight, or I mean, because I could probably um, deduce or somehow unravel what she said by the things that I was wearing, or somehow, um, it's just not something that I would have thought to go up to anybody and say. The truth of it is that I had been secretly not telling anybody, but I had been. Um, I mentioned on this podcast that I mentioned that I was um, that I had been watching this TV show about um, being dropped in the wilderness and with very few tools, and building shelter and hunting and fishing and surviving out. But what I didn't say was that I was really wanting to go out and rough it in the wilderness. I know my son doesn't like camping, but I thought it would be cool to go out and to set up a tent and, I mean, rough it as hard as I want to rough it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying give me a pocket knife and a compass. I'm not crazy, but I think it might. Anyway, I hadn't said to anybody that I had been contemplating that or thinking about the benefits of being out in the wilderness, being a part of nature. And then here comes this lady, like out of nowhere, saying, "You need to get back to that and go out you know, and be in nature and do it, do those things." I just thought it was quite interesting, you know. Anyway, I like how my cousin has no patience for any of that. Like the second they start saying, I see these energy, or he taps out and he's like, oh, cool, I'm going to go anywhere but here. And then I'm just there. Or somehow people feel more comfortable talking to me about things like that. I don't know why that is. Like he doesn't give off that vibe that he wants to hear any of that. All that I kept thinking was, because her husband was right there, and I kept reaffirming to him and to her, mainly to him, that I was aware of his presence. Yeah, over time, that's something that I find very. You meet people all the time after shows and things, and like I had this guy get mad at his girlfriend or date or wife. I don't know what she was, because she kept standing in front of me while I was singing, and then, which if she would have just balanced it out and stood in front of the guitar player, my cousin, but she kept standing in front of me. I thought it was kind of silly at the time, but I watched him kind of throw a fit and get angry, and then shortly after they leave, and it's like, dude, just relax. Like I'm sure she wasn't even aware of it. I don't think I was even a human being to her. I was just the place on stage where the melody was coming out. You know what I mean? I'm going to throw my watch into a river. Every time I was lifting my arm up, my watch thinks that I'm trying to have Siri tell me whatever I just said, like search for it on the web. This is the third time that it stopped me in the middle of what I'm saying. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to edit this stupid episode. I'm so frustrated. I think it would be funny if it wasn't so stupid. Because I'm in the middle of talking about something ridiculous in the first place. And who wants to remember and go back to talking about something ridiculous, right? Where was I when I was talking about how a woman was standing in front of me while I was singing? And how I'm trying to justify it and say that it was just the fact that I was singing melody lines and lyrics to songs that she knows. And, Anyway, drunk people gravitate to what's like shiny. Okay? They just like if he would have been soloing, right? If he would have been ripping some long solo, right? Then she would have stood in front of him and woo and be like, you're doing the guitar solo. But I was singing lyrics, singing a melody to a song that she knew. So she wanted to sing along. So she's standing in front of me. And then she went back to her seat. So here comes the next song she knows the words to. She comes up. She's standing in front of me. But this time when she goes back, he gets mad because the appearance of it is that she's standing in front of me. And from the body language and the words I could read off of his mouth, that's what he was saying as much. Why you got to stand in front of him. But jealousy's a tricky friend, man. Anyway, but that's how my mind works. I'm just working through the logic of it, because she was inebriated, and so seeing the first thing that it was just made sense. There was no, if you looked at her, there was nothing emanating from her eyes or her being that equated to being like that she was, in any way, shape, or form interested in me as a human being. Just, it was just the vocal thing coming out of me. But anyway, I digress. I just randomly thought of that and felt like it was ultimately necessary to chat about. Oh yeah, because in this instance, the husband, who is super cool dude, he knew that she found somebody that was willing to listen to her talk about that side of herself, right? That normally perhaps people are like, "What you talk? You read energy? You know? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." Yeah, yeah. Go ahead with your, I guess maybe you're a little nutty and whatever. Maybe people shut that type of stuff down, and here I was being at least open to listening to it. And I think, I think there was something to it. I think she really, if half the battle of that kind of stuff is that you open yourself up to, like, to the energies of the universe, right? Like to the relationships that we have amongst each other and in the world around us, and into all things, right? That openness to it. A lot of people will close that off, just at the notion of it, wouldn't give it the time of day, and I get that. So, but and that's something that musicians do, artists do, even writers and creative types. They open themselves up to that, to the energies that are around them, to the connections that are around them, and tap into something greater than themselves. And but I didn't want him to think that I was entertaining her in any other way. I was being kind, because she wanted to express that that she was having some sort of intuitive moment and wanted to share those insights with me, for better or for worse, true or not. But she felt that they were real. And, who am I to say otherwise? Deep down, I am going to be looking out for my cousin, and I am impressed at the fact that she intuited. She felt that I was needing to go back into nature, or needing to do some of those things. Because like I said, I cannot imagine myself going up to anybody and saying, "Oh, you know what? Oh, you got to. I feel that you're in need to do X, Y, or Z." Because the first thing they would have said, I mean, there was a chance they could be like, "Nature. I don't." Closest thing to nature is the pool at the hotel I stay at. You know what I mean, or whatever. I sometimes think, I don't think that it's such a leap to tell somebody you need to get back to nature and go to to the trees and the rivers and the whatever, blah, blah, whatever. That's such a specific thing to say to somebody, is my point. Like, you're taking a huge gamble that this person's going to be like, "Oh, okay, I guess I don't do nature, but sure. I hate nature, but sure." You know what I mean? And then there's a whole another set where for it actually to mean something to that person, where they're like, "You know what? It's weird that you say that, because I had been contemplating booking up some time to get back to nature." Right? So it just felt really on point. And it's not like I was dressed like a wilderness person. I had a, you know, I don't know what to tell you. But it was interesting to me. And so I figured I'd let y'all in on it. And lastly, I wanted to touch base on something. I don't know how long this episode's going to be. It might be 30 minutes, it might be 40 minutes. I don't even know because this stupid thing is shut down so many times. I'm not even tripping. I'm just going to cut the damn thing together and see how long it goes. But, some circumstances happened recently that I wanted to talk about. My friend's mother passed away recently. And it has me in complete shock about it. And it's impacting me so hard because I feel like, well, I'm trying to figure out what that really is, why. But you flash back a couple of weeks ago, and you have to understand, I had not seen this person in literally years. And then I saw my friend's mother at a funeral, and I had thought about her in months prior because her mother had passed away, and at a very old age. And I had thought to myself, wow, what a long life, and how that death impacted my friend, and how very close he is to his mother. And all of those thoughts kind of were fresh in my mind, because of my relationship with my mom, and it really influenced the reason why I call my mom every day, and continue to call her every day, and trying to help her in any way I can, do the things that she needs to do and so on. But I had not seen this person in a very long time. I thought about her during that period when my friend's grandmother passed. And I thought about her. And then when my aunt passed away, I went to the funeral to sing. And I saw his mom there. And she looked so, like, I even commented, I gave her a hug, and I said, my goodness, you look so good. Like, you look very healthy. You look, not that she did not look healthy in the past, but she looked vibrant, happy, glowing almost, and just present. And I told her as much, and she laughed, and she said, I know. You know, in a very playful way, but it was, it was sweet. And especially since I felt like garbage when I was there at my aunt's funeral. I felt like I looked like garbage. I felt like I sounded like garbage. And, here's this person who's just full of life and radiant and just killing it. So it was great seeing her. I said, it's great seeing you when I was out. So you're doing the anyway. In my mind, it just came as such a shock. Um, and I'm not going to pretend to know the circumstances or what happened or any of it. All that I know is that it was unexpected and unforeseeable, unpreventable. I mean, in hindsight, right? Obviously, you know, with any sort of warnings, then perhaps it could have been stopped or fixed or whatever terminology is appropriate to what happened. But to my knowledge, and it's very little knowledge of the situation, it was just unforeseeable, unforeseen. And I'm saddened by it. You know, I think anytime that there's a passing of someone so important to others prior to, I mean, even if they have that 96 years or 90 plus years of being around, it's always a little sad, but it just feels like this was too soon. Sometimes that's the way it feels. Like I've had that mentality. Like when my brother passed, I was like too soon. And it was kind of a shock because in my mind I felt that he was going into, you know, get sorted out and get better. It wasn't like, that wasn't, in other words, you don't go to the hospital and check yourself in to get looked at and then expect for it to turn like that. And my dad, even though he was considerably older, I felt that, you know, he had Alzheimer's and dementia, and I kind of felt like perhaps he was going to be at peace, or that he lived a long life where he touched a lot of people and he helped a lot of people and he mattered to a lot of people. I thought that was, you know, if it was something, if he had his mental faculties and if he was going to be able to be lucid, then it would be wonderful. But it was one of those things where it was slow, like, and it was painful to watch. But I think the main thing that I'm trying to take out of this is that it really came without warning and without any indication, no foreshadowing, just blindsided. And I think it's that reaffirmation that if you look around the people that around you, every one of them, and not just in words, but really think and feel it, but put the name in the position, and just know that at any given time, without reason, without like foreseeable circumstance, somebody that you love can be taken away in that quick, in a heartbeat. Because sometimes the world feels like it has purpose. Sometimes it feels like it has like an agenda, or if this, you know, a level of rewarding consequence, you know, set of rules. It feels like it does. In some weird way, it feels like there's some sort of balance, some sort of way of 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 kind of seeing I'm trying to figure out the words, y'all. It's like there's a plan, albeit something that maybe is bigger than we are and we don't understand it. But it feels like, you know, we can be sad about dying in the future, but right here, right now, we're alive and we're amongst friends and we're doing the things we. But sometimes there's just this cold splash of water on your face that tells you that you have no control over any of it, and that there is no rhyme or reason to that moment. You know, you feel like you're going to have another 50 Christmases with the people you love, and then all of a sudden you hear that somebody is taken, and I think that's where it's kind of hitting me right now is what do you do with that information, right? I guess the cliche is to you know, go to the people that you love and give them hugs and kisses and show them the appreciation right now. You know, never go to bed angry. Always say that you love the person before you leave for the day or whatever. I don't know. It's just I feel for them. They're in my prayers. For those friends of mine that are dealing with such a loss right now. And I know she's in a better place. So hopefully that's enough solace to make it okay. I mean, nothing does, right? This is when I wish my daughter would come in and tell those lighthearted stories that she was telling earlier before she knocked over the camera and left. But I'll tell you what. My daughter earlier today, she says, "Dad, I want to paint your face. I want to put makeup on you." And I said, "No, I don't want makeup." And she said, "Well, put up makeup on my face." And I said, "No," because yesterday when we were at the 5K, somebody did face paint on her and it irritated her face. So I'm saying, you're going to give your skin a break. We're not going to put more makeup, you know. So she says, "Okay, well then let me paint your face." And I said, "Listen, how about this? I'll compromise. You can put a little bit of eyeshadow on me, right? We'll do like, you could do some pinks and purples, whatever. I don't care. Just a baby bit over your eyes." She said, "Deal." And then she busts out all of her makeup like in front of me. And I'm like, "Listen, you said." And she's like, "Yes." And then, you know, she puts a little lip gloss. I said, "No, you said just over the eyes." But then she gets me talking, right? Next thing you know, I feel like she's putting on rouge, you know? And then next thing you know, she's just going at it and just, I'll probably put a picture up. And then at the end of it, and her mom the whole time was aware of what's happening. But then my daughter gets the same thing, puts some on it, and then she puts it on her own lips. And her mom walks in and says, "No, ma'am, you know that makeup doesn't wash off." So what? I turned to her and said, "The hell you say?" And she says, "It just doesn't come off easy." And you'll see the picture of me, but I literally look like a baboon. My face is covered and saturated in this clown paint. And my daughter just got the biggest kick out of that idea. So she went to go wash the little baby bit of lipstick off of her, and I go in to wash off the baboon junk off my face. And she says, "No, Dad, you have to wait. I want to watch you." So I sop it up. I start putting warm water on my face. And then I start trying to use my, like, a face soap. And then I look like the devil. My face was red. It just smeared very little came off. And it just looked like a solid red face. It took me like a lot of washes. But anyway, I didn't want to leave you on a completely sad note. So I'll put a picture of me in full makeup. And anyway, go give love to the people that you care about. And I will see y'all next week. We'll talk then, all right? Take care.